So, welcome to another MoteCon. As he said, my name is Jennifer Scott. Now, when we talk about Mote, we know the Mote is teacher feedback. It's simple. We know that Mote is student learning. Students can share their learning with Mote. But Mote is also language learning, and I am going to show you how. So my name is Jennifer Scott. I am a MEX 16 Google Innovator. I got to go to my academy in Mexico City, and then I returned in 2018 as a coach. Now, if you see this picture up in the top, my left, that is a picture of me, and these are my friends. And there's so much I wanted to communicate with them, but I felt like my Spanish was so basic. What could I do to express my brilliant thoughts? Well, we could use Mote today. First, let me show you what Mote is. So, Mote is a student can turn in an assignment and write out their information, and I can respond with verbal feedback. It saves me time. The auto transcription allows students the choice to listen or to read, and then we can have a conversation about their learning. And yes, students do choose to respond with Mote responses, and it's sometimes just my favorite to hear their voices. Mote is also about I'm going to leave directions for the students, and I want to give them verbal directions. Now, why would I want to do this? At my school, we have three major languages. The languages besides English are going to be Spanish, they're going to be Maya Yucatec, and they're also going to be Arabic. So in this example, I've given verbal directions.
Describe the anatomy of a volcano.
But what about my students who just arrived from Yemen? They want to listen to me, but they want to confirm in their primary language what I said. And so when I create a Mote, I have this ability.
Describe.
When I edit it, I can hit translate and I can change the language. So here is this message in English. And I can do the same message in my other major language, which is Spanish. So that students can hear me in English, but read it in Spanish. Now, let me show you how this works. You go to create, you click on assignment, and I'm just going to call this assignment, if that's okay. I'm going to click the Mote recorder. During this assignment, I would like you to explain the 4 types of scientific equipment we have in our classroom. Make sure to draw a picture, label it, and tell me how each tool is used during a lab. I click on Edit. During this assignment, I notice how quick the auto transcription was. It's just amazing. And now I go to Translate, and I choose the second language. I click Save. I exit. I'm going to put this under Science and Assign. So we come here and notice the students can listen. During this assignment, I would like you in English and then read it in Arabic. Now, there are different ways you can have Mote. There's a free version, there's the unlimited version. I am using the unlimited version. And this is what I'm working with my school. So we can get a team license or a whole school license. That is my goal. So that students can also use that transcription. Let me show you. When we're teaching ELD, English Language Development, we need to focus on reading because reading is really difficult for our students. It's actually the lowest score when it comes to our state test each year. So one thing that we've done is I have students who are just learning English, just arrived, and they want to do the same assignments as the other students in the class. Well, we're reading Return of the Unicorn. And so let's go to this assignment. Return of the Unicorn. This student is given a Google slide. The slide has a picture to help the students understand what we are studying. They can listen to me read.
The Arabian oryx is very pretty.
Now, the student can record. So if the student comes up to the Mote recorder, clicks on it, and reads to me the same sentence or even more. The Arabian oryx is very pretty. Click and insert. Notice that I actually have this assignment set up in Spanish for my students as my example. And I just reinstalled the program. So it's checking some permissions. I hope you're able to hear when we play a recording, because I would like to play a student recording right now. This is a student who is a newcomer.
The Arabian oryx is very pretty.
And I really hope that you've listened to it and it worked across. If it didn't, go to this presentation and listen to the student read it because it's gorgeous. Here's another student. She had just arrived to the United States.
The peninsula has one huge desert.
And notice how the classroom is noisy, because that's what a language classroom should sound like. It should be noisy. Now, the question is, am I going to use Flip or am I going to use Mote? And this is the answer. When the student's going to read one sentence, two or three sentences, I'm absolutely positively going to use Mote. For students reading entire paragraphs and articles, I'm going to go use Flip. You can use both. They're awesome. Now, how can Mote be used to improve writing? Before I go on, John, can you tell me if there were any questions about the last segment regarding reading?
Hi, Jennifer. First of all, we could hear your student's voice loud and clear, but I reshared just in case people couldn't see on the screen the link to this particular presentation. A question that came up from Cheryl was, do you use one or more questions on a typical end of unit assessment?
Explain, give me more of an explanation.
That is a question that we've got on the screen. So I can relay the question should there be any further development there.
I would be giving multiple questions. So I'm thinking, for example, when the students have to do a speaking exercise, they're going to have 4 different ways they have to show it.
Brilliant. Thank you. And there's also one other question which I'd be able to answer as well, which is from Anise Benamy. If I record in English, can a student hear it back in a second language? as her pre-Ks don't read yet. Unfortunately, currently we are unable to offer a translation of the audio, although who knows? Who knows? We'll all keep our fingers crossed for that.
Just tell John that you want it and he'll make it happen somehow, some way, in some year.
There we go. You heard it here first. And back to you, Jennifer.
All right. So reading is the first method. Now let's talk about writing. And this is going to go to the person who teaches kindergarten, because the next part is really going to help those kindergarten students. Because what they can do is they can write and they can read what they write. So we have learned that we have the learning zone, and on the learning zone, there are many different lessons. On the learning zone, you will see one about creative writing. Students can write their own books, whether they're in kindergarten or they're in junior high, like my students. Now, this is an assignment I actually gave last year. The students had to write a story over a number of weeks. And when their stories were done, the next step was to illustrate it with pictures. And when you go to this slide deck, you'll absolutely be able to see these examples. I made copies of them. You will be able to hear my students read. So here's a copy of my newcomer reading her story. Here is a student who's considered a level 1. Here's a student who's considered a level 3 in her speaking and writing and listening abilities. So come to this slide deck so you can hear my students speak. For the upper grades, I want to show you something super special. I am going to be using a program called Doc to Slides, and it's by the incredible Alice Keeler, who loves Mote as well. And what this does is the students write a story. This is a story our students wrote together. Then you go into extensions and you go to Docs to Slides by Alice Keeler. Notice I created a template for you. Go check it out. I already made the copy, and I'm going to copy it. And I am going to paste it here. Do I have to do this step? No. I've done something special with this template that I'm going to show you right now. I click on Create Google Slides. I don't believe the number actually matters. I just put a 1. And what happens is this entire story is going to be added to the Google Slides. And every paragraph is going to get its own slide. We're waiting. This is when you go get coffee. I'm going to delete the first slide. And here is the title and the name. And then here's the writing. Now, why did I use this particular template? Because I can change this and I can add pictures. So this is a template and I can go search. The student can then click and search the web, and we want to have a picture of a beach because that's what's happening. Jalissa's on a beach, and let's make it this one here. And I go to the next slide. And I want to change to a different layout. Let's go ahead and do the circle image placeholder. And I apologize. I was playing around with it and that one stopped working, but that's okay. The other ones work. And the student reads their writing, searches the web, and where are we? Let's have a picture of a clock. Did you know there's going to be a clock on the beach? Absolutely, right? So now the students have illustrated their story. And I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. I'm doing some shortcuts. Message me on Twitter and I'll tell you what those beautiful shortcuts are. But the student, including the kindergarten students, will click on the Mote Reader, click next. Oh, I'm in a different account, so I have to do all the permissions. They warned us about this. And what I'm going to do is the student is going to read the story. And the student is going to read every single page of their story so that other people can hear it from the author themselves. So Mote, amazing. This is an example of a student that you can listen to, a student who's considered at the 3rd level, and hear her read her own writing, look at those beautiful pictures that go along with her story. Do I have any questions before I go on, John?
No, there have been no questions flying in, just lots of super engaged people so far. Thank you.
When we talk about language learning, we know many of our students can speak their second language very well. But go back to when I showed you the picture of myself whitewater rafting with my friends in Galicia in Spain. Well, there was a lot I wanted to say, but I felt like I only had basic vocabulary. So our students need to practice academic vocabulary. Here's an example of an assignment I gave last year where the students had to follow directions on cherry blossoms and then write down facts. Well, what do I want them to do? I want them to tell me the words, the academic vocabulary, what they learned about cherry blossoms. Now, let's say we have a newcomer. So let's go back to Hannah Banana. She is my example student. And I'm just going to use this assignment as an example. So I'm going to click where it says comments. Now, this is a student. And the student is going to say something that they learned. And okay, I had to think about what I was going to say. Okay. I'm going to click. Ellos viven en el desierto. The students said it in their primary language. The student with an unlimited account is going to click on this pencil. And ellos viven en el desierto. They need to learn the words in English, correct? So we're going to translate it into English. We're going to what guardar means. And the student's going to save it and leave it. Post. There's an immediate translation. Now the newcomer student is going to say in English, they live in the desert. And now the teacher can hear it in English. The teacher reads it. The student says it in their primary. Ellos viven en el desierto. The students learn how to say it in English. Then the student repeats what they learned in English. So we're practicing that academic vocabulary. All right, John, are there any questions about that?
We are still at the same stage. No, there's just Alex has just said that he's got to get his Spanish phrases going on in class this year.
Excellent. So I had examples, and as I was listening to them today, the student audio didn't work, but I'm going to show you that we were studying the Middle East last year, and students had to decorate their pages. Then here is a student who on October 20th told me what they were learning and in English. That's the beautiful part. And if this had worked, this would have been gorgeous. But a student drew this picture of a puppy, and after practicing with Mote for months and months and months, told me in English what this puppy did. And I wish that video worked today. For some reason, it's not working. As always, the students have to tell me what they learned in the private comment. They can write it, they can use Mote. And that's what happened here. The students spoke in their primary language and then translated it into English. This student spoke in their primary language, and I'm not sure why it's in Spanish, but it's in Spanish down there. So as you can see, Mote is more than just teacher feedback. It's about communication between the student and the teacher, because our students are brilliant. Our multilingual students have so much to say, and they want to learn the vocabulary. And that's what Mote does for us.